Jealousy is one of the most misunderstood human emotions. Almost everyone has felt it at some point, yet very few people openly admit to it. When we hear the word jealous, we often imagine someone insecure, bitter, or even manipulative. But jealousy, at its core, is not evil. It is human. It's ancient. It is deeply wired into our biology and psychology. To understand the hidden signs of a jealous person, we first need to understand what jealousy really is, why it exists, and how it develops inside the human mind over time. From an evolutionary perspective, jealousy developed as a survival mechanism. In early human history, losing a partner could mean losing protection, resources, and the chance to pass on one's genes. Losing status within a tribe could mean isolation. The brain evolved to detect threats to relationships and social standing. When the brain senses that someone else might take what we value, love, attention, success, recognition, it triggers a protective emotional response. That response is jealousy. Neuroscience shows that jealousy activates areas of the brain linked to fear, anger, and pain. It feels threatening because, in some primitive part of the mind, it is perceived as a threat to survival or identity. Psychologically, jealousy develops through a combination of temperament, childhood experiences, attachment style, and social comparison. A child who grows up feeling compared to siblings, or who receives conditional love based on performance, may internalize the belief that love is scarce and must be competed for. A person who experiences betrayal or abandonment may develop hypervigilance toward perceived threats in future relationships. Over time, these experiences create mental skimmies, deep beliefs, such as "I am not enough, people always leave," or "if others succeed, I lose." Jealousy often grows in the soil of insecurity and fear. Now let us explore the hidden signs of a jealous person. These signs are not always dramatic. Jealousy is rarely loud and obvious. More often, it is subtle, masked, and socially disguised. A jealous person may even appear supportive on the surface, but their behavior, tone, and patterns reveal deeper psychological processes. One of the most common hidden behaviors of a jealous person is subtle minimization of others' achievements. When someone shares good news, a promotion, a new relationship, a personal milestone, the jealous individual may respond with faint praise. They might say, "That's nice," or, "Well, let's see how long that lasts," or "It's not that big of a deal." The words may seem harmless, but the emotional tone lacks genuine joy. Psychologically, this reaction reveals internal comparison. Instead of feeling inspired by another's success, the jealous mind interprets it as a threat to self-worth. If you succeed, I feel smaller. If you rise, I fear I am falling. When someone does not minimize others and instead genuinely celebrates them, it indicates a secure internal structure, suggests that the person sees success as abundant rather than limited. They do not equate someone else's gain with their loss. This mindset is rooted in healthy self-esteem and a growth-oriented perspective. The absence of minimization is not just politeness, it's psychological security. Another hidden sign of jealousy is backhanded compliments. A jealous person may say, "You look great today. Usually that color doesn't suit you," or "I'm surprised you did so well. I didn't think that was your strength." These statements carry a dual message: praise on the surface, doubt underneath. The jealous mind attempts to protect its ego by subtly rebalancing the power dynamic. If I can insert a small criticism, I reduce the gap between us. When someone consistently gives clean, uncomplicated compliments, it suggests emotional maturity. It shows that they can appreciate qualities in others without feeling diminished. Psychologically, they have separated admiration from self-evaluation. They can say, "You did an amazing job," without internally hearing, "I am not good enough." A third behavior to watch is excessive comparison. Jealous individuals often compare themselves to others in almost every domain: appearance, income, popularity, relationships, intelligence. They may constantly ask questions that seem curious, but are actually investigative. How much are you earning now? How many followers do you have? Who else was invited? They compare. is not neutral, is loaded with emotional stakes. Each answer becomes data for self-evaluation. Social comparison theory explains that humans naturally evaluate themselves in relation to others. However, in a jealous mind, comparison becomes chronic and compulsive. It is driven by insecurity and fear of inadequacy. The brain's reward system becomes sensitive to relative status rather than intrinsic satisfaction. When they perceive themselves as lower, it triggers shame and resentment. When they perceive themselves as higher, it provides temporary relief, but not lasting confidence. If a person does not engage in constant comparison, it often means they have developed internal standards of self-worth. Their sense of value is not entirely dependent on external ranking. They may still notice differences, but those differences do not define their identity. This indicates emotional regulation and self-acceptance. Another hidden sign of jealousy is passive sabotage. This can appear in subtle ways, withholding important information, giving incomplete advice, failing to support when support is needed, or quietly hoping someone fails. For example, a jealous colleague might forget to inform you about an opportunity. A jealous friend might discourage you from pursuing a goal by highlighting exaggerated risks. These actions are rarely conscious plans of harm. Often, they are subconscious attempts to reduce the perceived threat. Psychologically, passive sabotage reveals internal conflict. On one hand, the person may care about you. On the other hand, your success activates their fear of being left behind. This creates cognitive dissonance. To resolve the tension, they unconsciously limit your growth to protect their own sense of worth. When someone actively supports others, even when it costs them time or effort, it demonstrates emotional abundance. It reflects a mindset that sees relationships as collaborative rather than competitive. It suggests confidence in their own path. A fifth behavior is hypersensitivity to perceived favoritism or exclusion. Jealous individuals often interpret neutral events as intentional slights. If two friends meet without them, they may assume they were deliberately excluded. If a partner talks warmly about a coworker, they may interpret it as romantic threat. The jealous brain is hyper-alert to signs of replacement. This is closely connected to attachment insecurity, particularly anxious attachment,
The mind scans
for danger and fills in gaps with worst-case interpretations. When someone does not react strongly to minor exclusions or comparisons, it suggests emotional resilience and secure attachment. They trust that relationships are stable and that their value is not easily replaced. They do not assume malice where there may be none. Jealousy also reveals itself through body language. A jealous person may display tight facial expressions. When others receive praise, their smile may be brief and forced. Their posture may stiffen. They may avoid eye contact or abruptly change the subject. These nonverbal cues often betray the internal struggle between social expectation and private emotion. Humans are skilled at masking feelings verbally, but the body often speaks more honestly. If someone maintains open body language, sustained eye contact, and warm facial expressions during others' success, it indicates congruence between inner emotion and outward behavior. This alignment reflects psychological harmony rather than internal threat. In daily life, jealousy influences decision-making in subtle ways. A jealous partner may restrict their significant other's social interactions under the guise of protection. A jealous friend may distance themselves when you achieve something significant. A jealous sibling may compete in unnecessary ways. These behaviors stem from fear of abandonment, irrelevance, or inadequacy. The conscious narrative might be, "I just care about you," but the subconscious narrative is, "I am afraid of losing my place." Jealousy creates emotional turbulence. It combines anger, sadness, fear, and shame. The jealous person may feel guilty for their feelings, which adds another layer of distress. This emotional complexity often leads to rumination. They replay conversations, analyze tone, and imagine scenarios. The mind becomes trapped in loops of comparison and suspicion. Over time, chronic jealousy can have serious psychological side effects. It erodes self-esteem because the individual's worth becomes tied to others' performance. It damages relationships because trust is replaced by monitoring and doubt. It increases anxiety because the brain remains in threat detection mode. It may even contribute to depression when constant comparison leads to feelings of inferiority and hopelessness. In romantic relationships, jealousy can become controlling behavior. Checking phones, demanding reassurance, isolating a partner from friends. These actions may be justified as love, but are rooted in insecurity. The partner on the receiving end may feel suffocated, mistrusted, and emotionally drained. Eventually, the very fear that triggered the jealousy losing the partner may become a self-fulfilling prophecy. When jealousy enters a friendship, it rarely explodes all at once. It slowly changes the emotional climate. Moments that should feel joyful begin to feel tense. A promotion, a new relationship, a personal achievement, these milestones no longer bring shared excitement. Instead, conversations subtly shift toward comparison. Who is doing better? Who is moving faster? Over time, warmth is replaced with quiet competition. The laughter is still there, but it feels thinner. The support sounds polite, not heartfelt. Years can pass before either person realizes that the closeness they once had has quietly eroded under the weight of unspoken resentment. In the realm of productivity, jealousy quietly redirects mental energy. Rather than asking, "How can I grow?" the mind asks, "How are they doing?" Instead of sharpening skills or building long-term goals, attention becomes fixed on tracking others' progress. The jealous individual may scroll through social media, monitor colleagues, or measure success through constant comparison. This outward focus consumes cognitive resources. Creativity suffers because innovation requires internal focus and self-trust. When attention is scattered across competitors, there is little room left for mastery. Jealousy does not just disturb emotions, it weakens performance. From a clinical standpoint, psychologists approach jealousy with nuance and depth. They do not reduce it to simple insecurity. Instead, they examine patterns. They observe how often jealousy appears, what triggers it, and how intensely it is experienced. Cognitive behavioral frameworks explore the automatic thoughts beneath the emotion beliefs such as "I'm not enough," "I'm falling behind," or "I'll be replaced." These thoughts often operate so quickly that the individual experiences only the emotional reaction, not the internal narrative fueling it. Attachment theory offers another lens. It asks deeper questions about early relationships. Did this person grow up fearing abandonment? Were they compared to siblings? Did love feel conditional? Early experiences can program the nervous system to interpret closeness as fragile and easily lost. Psychodynamic perspectives dig even further, exploring unresolved childhood rivalries, unmet needs for validation, and long-standing wounds around worth and belonging. In this view, jealousy is not just about the present moment, it is an echo of the past. Clinicians also differentiate between occasional jealousy and chronic patterns. Feeling jealous from time to time is part of being human. It becomes psychologically significant when it is intense, persistent, and disproportionate to the situation. When jealousy dominates thinking, fuels controlling behaviors, or repeatedly damages relationships, it may point toward deeper struggles such as unresolved trauma or deeply rooted low self-esteem. Professionals pay close attention to nonverbal cues, tightened posture, defensive tone shifts, forced smiles, as well as inconsistencies between spoken reassurance and underlying tension. A key distinction psychologists make is between envy and jealousy. Envy arises when we desire something someone else possesses. Jealousy emerges when we fear losing something we already have. In daily life, however, these experiences often blend together. Both are shaped by comparison. Both are intensified by a belief in scarcity, the idea that there is not enough success, love, or recognition to go around. Understanding jealousy requires compassion. It is not about labeling someone as toxic or flawed. Beneath jealous behavior, there is often fear. Fear of being overlooked. Fear of not measuring up. Fear of being replaced. When we look deeper than surface reactions, we often find vulnerability. Rather than malice, at the same time, compassion does not mean self-sacrifice. If someone repeatedly minimizes your achievements, offers disguised criticism, undermines your efforts, or reacts with hypersensitivity, protecting your emotional boundaries becomes essential. You can understand someone's insecurity without absorbing its impact. Healthy relationships require mutual goodwill, not quiet competition, for those who recognize jealousy within themselves. The realization can feel uncomfortable, but it is also powerful. Awareness transforms unconscious reaction into conscious choice. When you notice comparison arising, you can question the story behind it. When you feel threatened by someone's success, you can examine the belief that makes it feel threatening. Building self-esteem rooted in internal values rather than external ranking reduces the need to compete. Strengthening secure attachment, whether through therapy or emotionally safe relationships, softens the fear of abandonment. Gratitude practices shift the mind from scarcity to appreciation. Ultimately, jealousy acts like a mirror. It reflects our hidden assumptions about worth, identity, and belonging. When left unchecked, it distorts perception and corrodes connection. Examined with honesty, it reveals the exact areas where healing is needed. The signs of jealousy in others are not merely warnings, they are clues to deeper emotional realities. And the signs within ourselves are invitations to grow. When we learn to identify jealousy with psychological clarity, we gain a different kind of strength. It's not the strength to judge or shame, but the strength to understand. Not the power to control others, but the power to regulate ourselves. Transformation begins the moment we recognize that jealousy is less about what others have and more about the meaning we attach to it. Change the meaning, and the emotion begins to shift. Shift the emotion, and behavior follows. In that process lies freedom, the freedom to relate without fear, to celebrate without comparison, and to grow without resentment.